Hey guys, are you ready for your math lesson? Math, miss, what are you thinking? Are you ready for your writing lesson today? We're going to keep thinking about how we're going to make our story amazing. You guys are nearly ready to start writing a story. You've thought of your character. You thought of where the story is going to happen. But you know what makes a story exciting is when there is a problem in the story, right? Well, some of the books that I've read to you have had problems in the story. Maybe you can remember there was an old lady who swallowed a puck. Well, there we already have the problem in the title, right? What was the problem? She swallowed a puck. That's right. That could be a problem in a story. This book I read to you, Ralph tells a story. What was his problem? He never had he never had an idea of what to write about, right? That was his problem in the story. Well, I'm going to read you guys a story first. And there is a problem in the story. I want you to think about what the problem is in this story. And I've chosen this book because we're also going to start learning about the ocean and ocean animals for science. So this is a book called Clark the Shark. Dun, dun, dun. Clark the Shark. All right, listen carefully to the problem in this story. In all the wide blue seas, in all the wide blue world, the top school for fish was Theodore Roosterfish Elementary. And all of the fish at Theodore Roosterfish, the biggest and the strongest was Clark the Shark. Clark loved school and he loved his teacher, Mrs. Inkydink. He loved to play upsy and downsy and spin a jig with his friends. Clark loved his life. School is awesome, shouted Clark the Shark. Less shouting, more reading, said Mrs. Inkydink. Lunchtime is sweet, yelled Clark the Shark. Munch your own lunch, said his best friend Joey McCarroll. Recess rocks, bellowed Clark the Shark. You're playing rough, Clark, cried the other kids. Nope, page is stuck. Yes, Clark loved his life with all of his sharky heart. But he loved everything way too much. He was too loud. He was too wild. He was just too much shark for the other fish to handle. After a while, no one would play with Clark. No one ate lunch with him. No one sat with him at circle time. Even his best friend, Joey McCarroll, said, "Cool your jets, Clark. You're making me crazy." One day, Clark asked Mrs. Inkydink, "What's wrong with everyone?" Mrs. Inkydink patted his fin. "Clark, sometimes you play too hard, you munch too hard, and you even help too hard." "But life is so exciting," said Clark. "There's a time and place for everything," said Mrs. Inkydink, "and sometimes the rule is to stay cool." At recess, Clark tried to stay cool, but he pushed the swing with too much zing. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "Yikes," cried Joey McCarroll. At lunch, Clark tried to stay cool, but everything smelled so good that he munched a bunch of lunches. "Sorry," said Clark. "I forgot." "We're starving," said his friends. In class, Clark tried to stay cool, but a good book got him all shook up. "Now, Clark," said Mrs. Inkydink, "this isn't the time or place. Tell me what's the rule?" "Stay cool," said Clark. "Hey, that rhymes," he cried. Then Clark got a big idea in his sharky head. Maybe if I make a rhyme, I'll remember every time, he thought. The next day, he put his plan to work. In class, When lessons got exciting, Clark wanted to bounce out of his seat. Instead, he told himself, when teachers talking, don't go walking. And what do you know? It worked. "Attaboy," said Mrs. Inky Dink. Clark smiled. Lessons are fun. At lunch, everything smelled so yummy. When Clark wanted to eat and never stop, he told himself, only munch your own lunch. And it worked again. "Way to go, Clark," said his friends. Clark grinned. Lunch is fun. At playtime, Clark told himself, easy does it, that's the way. Then my friends will let me play. And playtime was fun. Once more, Clark loved his life. But then, a shadow fell across the playground. A ginormous shadow with tentacles galore. "And it's a new kid, and he looks scary," cried Joey McCarroll. "Swim for your lives!" The squid squashed the slide, and it snapped off the swings. "Oops, my bad," said the new kid. "Wait," said Clark, "he just wants to play. Let's find a way." And he swam out at the new kid with all his might. Clark played harder than he had ever before. Upsy-downsy and spin-a-ma-jig. Why, he even made up a new game. Tail Wumpa-Lumpus. "Wow, that was fun," said the new kid breathlessly, and he settled down. "If you want to come to school, you've got to stay cool," said Clark. "That's right," said Mrs. Inky Dink. "And thanks for taking care of our new classmate, Sid the Squid." "Hooray for Clark the Shark!" Everyone cheered. That night, Clark's mother asked, "What did you learn at school, dear?" "There's a time and a place for everything," Clark said. "Sometimes you just stay cool. But sometimes a shark's gotta do what a shark's gotta do." And that is be loud, right? So what was the problem in the story Clark the Shark? He was just too loud, wasn't he, for his friends? So that was a problem in this book. What I want you to think about when you go to your page number 5, it says that brainstorming conflicts. That means brainstorming, thinking about problems that could happen in your story. Think about some problems that your character, whether it was a fireman or a princess or a knight or a ninja, what kind of problems might he have in your story? Maybe there is a fire somewhere. Maybe someone stole something. Maybe he or she was riding in the car and the car got a flat tire. Maybe the problem was he or she was feeling very sick or broke his arm or leg. Oh man, there could be so many crazy problems in your story. What I want you to think about and ask yourself, what's going to happen in the story? Or what's going to happen to people I know in the story? So I want you to think of 4 different problems that could happen in your story. Okay? And maybe afterwards you can put a check mark which one you really like. And then on Wednesday we'll keep figuring out the problem and how we're going to solve the problem. Okay? All right, guys. Good job. Keep it up.